Well, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to another show on Praise Talk Show. My name is Praise. I'm your host, and I hope that I met you very well today on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Not so sunny out there, but you know what? I remember a song that I used to sing when I was at school, Sunshine in My Soul. I pray that the sun is definitely shining in your soul and that the Lord will continue to, lift up our countenance in the name of Jesus. Well, how has your week been? Hope you've been well. Hope work's going well. Everything around you, even though they might be challenging, I pray that you are seeing solution all around you. And today is just one of those days. My guest, I see her as a solution provider. The Lord has inspired her to, fill in a gap that many people are struggling with. Maybe you might have seen the title of today's conversation. What I would really want to encourage you to do and to help us is to help us to share. As you're watching today, please help us to share with someone. Help us to share this conversation on your page, maybe with list on your WhatsApp. Send the link to as many people as you can, especially if you have young people who are at university. In these days, there's no limit to anyone who is studying, people studying from home. Different ages, different generation are studying, young, old, even though retired, still studying. And sometimes might be having struggles on how to make it happen, how to write. But hey, solution always knocks on your door when you come to Praise Talk Show. So I'm going to introduce my guest to you. Her name is Leslie Ann George. I think I'm going to have to put my glasses on while I do the reading, so just permit me there. Yes, she is a STEM ambassador and a strong advocate in promoting the development of students and young adults by sharing her experience in industry while mentoring them. She has run multiple workshops on academic and professional writing, employability skills, career development, and pathways for students and young adults to achieve their vision. Okay, she has a background as a senior project management professional within the engineering and technology industry. She earned a bachelor degree in business management, law, and a master's degree in oil and gas enterprise management. Her line of work has seen her engage in control account management in the engineering and technology sector, change management strategy, business analysis, and innovation through continuous improvement mechanism on various projects. But listen, she has written a book that, when I saw it, I said, this is an answer to many people's prayers. It's Elevate Your Essay Writing Skills. Many people are struggling, to do this when they go to university because of, I would want to say, lack of preparation. But help me welcome Leslie Ann to Praise Talk Show for the very first time.
Hello. Thank
Hi,
you.
Leslie
Thank you.
Ann. Such a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
And thanks to the Kingdom Connection community. Because it is through that network that we have met. This is how Christians do connect, within this community, and people that might have never have met. But thank God that, for the visionary of the community that has set a platform for many of us to meet. We might not have even met in person, but we have been speaking, running some sessions with the Hangouts, with the Petra Hangout. And thank God for making yourself available. And thank you for making yourself available to speak. So Leslie, and I've done your short bio, but tell us about, the reason why you wrote this book that we're about to speak about today, Elevating Your Essay Writing Skills.
Okay. Personally, from my experience, my academic journey, I went through this. But in the past year, I worked with, I've got quite a few mentees, and I found this was an issue that kept cropping up. So I thought, I went through this journey and I found a solution to it. And actually, in finding that solution, my essays were sometimes used as templates for other students. So I thought I'll just give it a go and work with education experts as well, so that the message is where it needs to be, or it's from different perspectives is understandable, if you like. So that's how the book came about, just from people's problems, and I was looking to find a solution to it, and I did.
Wow. How did you come about the solution?
Okay, so I'm familiar with essay writing. As I said, my essays were used as templates sometimes. So there are certain structures that go with it that I found students don't actually understand. And so with my mentees, I just try to understand their problems. And then with that, I found a solution with it. It's something that I'm well acquainted with. So it was just a matter of articulating it on paper, if you like, to share it with the world.
Wow. And what are you now? How are you breaking ground to this book? Tell us about your experience, your journey, the doors that it's opening, the people that you are meeting, the platforms that you're going on.
Honestly, I've been blessed by the reception. The book has been well received. I mean, on the launch alone, I just had a certain figure in my mind, but 50 people turned up, and I was like, praise God. A lot of, shall I say, I'm going on a podcast. I'm working with a couple of universities. My alma maters want to feature me as well. Students have been getting in touch with me. So honestly, it's been busy on every platform, social media, professional avenues, everywhere. And I'm working with organizations as well. Next month, I'm going on a pre-university conference, if you like, to help students who are about to go to university with WCAN. So it's just, there's so many avenues, and I'm working on a next gen project as well with Forward Ladies to launch in September. So the possibilities and opportunities are endless.
Amazing. Amazing. So you've talked about how to write with imagination to showcase your personality. Do writers have to be creative?
To some extent, they do. If you don't want to bore your reader and the examiner, you do. It's a journey, but it's quite a journey finding your personality. So for me as a writer, my style of writing is through storytelling. You know, as I indicate in my book, some people are jovial and it comes out in there in a formal way, if you like, but it's still, you can tell from the way they write that they are jovial people. Some people write in a professional manner, they're very strict, formal. My style of writing is storytelling. So once you find your style of writing, everything sort of falls in place in the way you want to communicate it. But there's a lot to go behind that as well. So.
Amazing. Okay. And you've also covered how to understand and unpack an essay and also report questions.
That's right.
Yeah, there's a lot of comprehension, understanding needs to take place within the subject matter, isn't it? Okay, so how can someone break that down before getting to that place of now reporting back?
Okay, so the first hurdle, if you don't understand the question, there's no way you can unpack it. So you have to try and unpack it with keywords. Each question has keywords. So you have to try and find it. So in my book, I take them through examples. And so if I highlight one of the examples from my book, it was what marketing sort of strategies, techniques, and theories will people use in turbulent economic times, for example. So in there, you know, your keywords are marketing techniques. You know, they're looking for theories. You know, what they're addressing is a turbulent economic time. So these keywords help you to start unpacking your question, to start brainstorming for what you're looking for. And they actually help you when you start searching on search engines and resource platforms at universities or colleges. And then you can find what you want, like journals, like books. They all come about with the keywords that you choose. So that's the first step to unpacking your essay, question, or report.
I want to ask a question which is out of the content of the book. Were you equipped to do all of this when you were going to school, Leslie?
I wasn't. So that is the personal journey. That's why I can empathize with students and young professionals, because I had to find it myself. And when I found it, it was just upwards, onwards and upwards, because my grades started improving. So I finished my first degree with a first class and my master's with a distinction. It's the way you communicate, is the way you, if you can't, writing to articulate what you're saying is the first step. If you can't put it down on paper, how do you expect people to know what's in your mind? You have to be able to share that, effectively as well.
Amazing. And those people who are now, let me go back to those who are currently in school. Most of our young people are now on holidays. I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about, we did literature studies, we did comprehension, and English writing. Some of those things is almost like, why do I have to do this? I'm speaking already. Not realizing is the things that we're going to need later on in life to communicate. And one thing I really, saddens my heart about the education system is that, that the conversation we're having now, it's rare that people sit down and say, this subject matter that you're dealing with is going to help you to deal with this and this and this in the future. So pay attention to it, because if you want to do this and this and this, this would actually give you a foundation to help you. Maybe they tried, but we didn't listen. I'm not too sure. But I don't recall anyone breaking subject matters to me. So what would you say to students now that, might see some of these subjects like, it's boring, I don't like it?
I'd say, first of all, you have to think about why you chose the course. So you can find the positive side in everything. Sometimes you just find on your journey it's not for you and it's not for you. So you have to just find your way out of that to find something that works for you, because you will regret it later. But sometimes it's just in starting the course, it could be boring if you like. However, when you focus your mind to see the positive side of things, and it's a mindset thing. If you say, I'm going to do well at this, I'm going to try and understand it, you're going to suddenly start finding resources because your mind is focused to say you're going to excel at it, you're going to do well at it. I think one thing that I advise students is, when they get in, they say the grades in the first year don't count. So everyone is relaxed. You're trying to make friends. There are a lot of things that are going on. You're not just there to study. You want to make sure you have some friends, to lean on. You want to make sure that you're aware of your environment and everything that's going on. But what I say to them is, don't leave things last minute to your third year. Because you find some students don't even know there's a careers department at their institution until their third year, when they're about to finish and look for a job. But when you start early, your careers department are well acquainted with you. So you've built a rapport there. You've built a rapport there already anyway. And then they can help you across your journey. I was speaking to one of the universities just a couple of weeks ago. And they said, yes, people just flood to them in the third year, but they don't understand, students don't understand that writing starts early. You can make your mistakes in the first year and get corrected. In your second year, you improve. By the time you get to your third year, you're familiar with all the mistakes that you make, that you're not going to make them anymore because you've improved. And now, you can give yourself that time to focus on finding jobs and, your area of expertise, if you like. So I would say don't leave it too late. Start as you mean to go on.
That's right. And you mentioned something very important, which is focus. There's a lot of distractions in those early years. How do people deal with this? How would you say to people who might be in a place where they might be a bit distracted, because it's like freedom, experiencing the world for the first time without my parents being around telling me what to do, and that is a massive challenge, in adulthood. What would you say to that?
Know why you're there. Okay. When you know why you're there, you will have that focus. There's nothing wrong with socializing. Networking is very good because, it gets you through many doors. However, just keep your eye on the ball and don't drop the ball. It's okay to socialize, but don't let it affect the reason why you're there. I socialized. I was part of many communities at university. I was part of the Pensa Christian Society. I was part of the DMU Street Law Society, and I socialized with other students as well, but I knew why I was there. So I had something to come back to. If you have a vision, if you have a purpose, if you have a plan, it's something to come back to as a checkpoint. Am I achieving what I came here for? It's almost like checking your milestones off. And if you're not quite there, you need to go back to the drawing board and then keep yourself on focus.
Thank you very much, Lesley-Anne, for speaking into that. You've also covered how to choose a research topic. I think that's an area that many people struggle for because they struggle with rather because they want to be able to write on something that they are not familiar with, or maybe what is being presented to them is something that they are not familiar with. So how do they combat that?
Okay, in terms of choosing the research topic, there are two avenues. Sometimes the topic is given to you, so sometimes you get questions, and sometimes you have to go about choosing your own research topic. So if it's given to you, then you can start brainstorming, like I said, breaking it down and looking at avenues that are committed to that research topic. One thing that I'd advise is always ensure that there's copious material about the research topic, because some people start writing and they find out that there's not enough material out there. So it's almost like their assertions are not being supported because there's not enough. It's probably a brilliant idea, but you need theories, you need techniques, you need frameworks to support what you're doing. And if you can't have that, then you're not really going to be able to put your point across with evidence. And that's why I cover using case studies as well with that aspect, but that's a completely different topic. If you're not given a topic, you can start off by your course. What are you studying? This is something I cover in the book as well. If your course is called, say, for example, contemporary social issues, that in itself is a keyword. What are the social issues out there? What is popping up in the media about social issues? How about do you have any personal opinions about some social issues? You can start there, talk to people, run pilot studies. What are the social issues that are of importance to you? This is how you come about with your topic. If you don't have even your tutors, you can interview your tutors. What are the social issues of concern? And this is all just from the title of the course or your module, for example. So this is how you can go about it depending on whether you have a question or not.
I hear it's almost I'm hearing you project managing that assignment. I think your project manager skills are helping you with that.
I know.
Yes, it helps obviously helping you to break it down, think how you can work on this project. So you do need all the skills, while we're doing this. And if you can project manage your life, then it will help you to remember things, connect things, and be able to apply them in your journey of education. Wow,
that's right.
Yes. Okay. So you've also got a chapter here, how to choose a captivating research title.
Yes. That is the first thing that anyone sees when they pick up your work. Imagine if that is confusing. They pick up your essay title and it's like, I know. I'm sure the examiner is going to say, I'll come back to that later. Let me pick another one because this is going to require some brain work. Okay. No, it's important to make it captivating. It needs to be short and snappy. And if you feel you need a long title as well, then make use of a title and a subtitle. Some people make their titles so long that people get put off by it. You have to realize that you've got humans reviewing your work. They are not robots, so you have to be considerate. But you need to whet the appetite of the examiner as well, or whoever your readers. If you're a young professional, you've got executives who are going to pick this up and they are going to most likely communicate it to other people as well. So it needs to be captivating. So people are like, I want to read this. Because if you think about it, that is your pitch. That's your first pitch. Once they pick it and they see the title, they're supposed to understand it and they're supposed to know what to expect just from the title. So.
Amazing. It's so great that you're presenting all of this from not just from an educational point of view, but also from a creative point of view. So it's almost like you need to discover yourself, appreciate the things around you so that you can be quite creative when you're packaging the assignments, thinking about this, thinking about that, instead of just thinking that you're not a computer's system. Even the computers are created by someone anyway.
That's right. I mean, imagine my book just went, essay writing, I don't know, for some students, maybe not some students. Where are we going with this? But you know, it's short and snappy. Elevate your essay writing skills. So you know what to expect. You know you're there to get, you know, information to improve your essay writing skills, if you like. And it's snappy, so you know, and it's got a subtitle as well, you know. So just make
And
use of those.
you're making education, you know, from this writing part, make it sounding like you're making it enjoyable. It's like enjoy what you're doing. Don't see it as a chore. You know, think about different things and see how you can present it so the other person can enjoy reading from you, which would help to, you know, promote what you're doing.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right.
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
I'm currently recording my audiobook,
Mm-hmm.
and the my artist is like, I'm enjoying reading a textbook. I can't believe it. So the aim is to make it enjoyable for students. You know, writing shouldn't be a task. Writing should be enjoyable because you're expressing yourself. You're communicating to people who you are. You know what you want to express to them. So it should be an enjoyable process for you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Leslie. Can you get some feedback from some of the workshops that you've run before we go through some of the other topics that people would find in the book? Some
so
testimonials? Yeah.
yes. So I've done a few, shall I say, mini workshops with organizations as well. As I indicated, I'm doing one with WCAN next month, but I did one before with them on Black women in innovation. And it was well received where, you know, the ladies that attended, I believe they were graduates, and they were better aligned to sort of understand about opportunities in STEM, because when you think about STEM, you just think it's a male dominant environment, if you like. But there are a lot of women in there who are doing great things. So it was sort of breaking that down for them and, you know, use myself as an example alongside other ladies as well, so they can understand in there. So I was really glad to hear that some of them were considering STEM after that workshop. I do one-to-one sessions as well, where a lot of people, the likes of Stephen, Andrea, if you know yourselves, they were saying it's helped them, you know, to improve their career journey, and it's helped them, you know, to communicate to young people, you know, about what to prepare for, you know, in the future. Because in the long run, it's not just in the academic setting. It's going to go with you throughout your work environment and wherever you decide to go. If you can't write, how do you expect to climb the career ladder? You can't explain things. So how do you expect to lead people when you're confusing them all the time? If you want to communicate with them in writing, they don't understand what you're saying. So you end up going round and round in circles. And if people see you can't write, then they will be reluctant to put you in leadership positions as well. So it goes hand in hand. It's a long journey.
Wow. So it's a foundation that needs to not just be set right, but seeing that it's going to be useful in every other area in our lives. Wow. Which is,
Yes.
wow, that really, that's an eye opener. Because I don't think you know, we see it like that. It's almost like I just have an assignment to do and to hand in. It's
That's
not
right.
like this assignment is going to represent me, represent my mindset, represent my management skills, represent my you know my the way I assess things. I don't think we see it like that. It's just like I have to finish this course. I have to finish this assignment. But thank you for throwing light into that, because it's what I'm also hearing is almost like you every essay that you write is like a CV that you're putting forward, you know, and you can always you're building yourself up through the way you're communicating, building a profile of your understanding of the subject matter, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Okay, I'm learning too. Yes, because it's so important that we, you know, see life outside of the limitations that have been put around us. There's a lot of limits, and we need to flourish in life. And I think conversations like this, my prayer is that we're hearing, right? It's like you're just having a conversation about essay. Yes, because it's an essential part of our lives, you know. With everything, it speaks so much about who we are, and our understanding. And my prayer is that somebody would pick up your book. How can we get a copy of your book, by the way?
It's on Amazon, so you can find the ebook and the paperback on Amazon, and the audiobook is in production as well. So I hope to launch that next month. So
Okay. And how can people get in touch with you?
So they can go on my website, which is www.el-empire.co, and there's a contact form on there, or they can just email me at contact@el-empire.co.
Oh, wonderful. Do you extend help to university students apart from the book that you've written?
That's right. I run workshops. So as I indicated before, I do group sessions simply because I find the students get the opportunity to network and collaborate as well. And then I run one-to-one workshops as well for young professionals as well, and students who feel they need that one-to-one help to sort of elevate the way they write, not just for essay writing, for professional reports as well. So I do that fortnightly, and you can find my workshops on Eventbrite, or just go on my website and contact me.
Amazing. And you do consultation as well?
I do, that's right. So I'm consulting to help, again, students with and young professionals with CV and careers, how to go about actually going on the academic ladder, requirements, what hiring managers are looking for, because I've worked with quite a few of them, how to network, to find mentors as well, and careers. And so they're just different skills that come with it. So what I do is in 3 categories, if you like. It's the academic and professional writing bit. That's the first bit. The second bit is networking skills to find careers and mentors. And the third category is to elevate your career development skills.
Amazing. Does every student need a mentor and a coach, or do they just need one or the other?
It's up to the student, but I find a mentor is always a good start, because they come with you on your journey, and they teach you based on their experience as well, because most likely they've been through what you've been through. And you can make use of their network, because if they can't help you with something, they are always open to sort of open up their network to you and refer you to others. And before you know it, your networks start growing. That's how I got into STEM, because I had 3 female mentors while I was doing my master's. And they were always there for me, always teaching me, always saying, come for a day out, come to the office, come and see how things work. So I got the opportunity to engage with them and shadow them as well.
Amazing. Okay. And how can they, you said you had 3 mentors during your course. So how were you able to select an ideal mentor for yourself?
Okay. I reached out to them. I was lucky enough that my university had at Aberdeen University, they had a mentorship program that you had to apply to. And there were so many mentors in there. There's so many students that apply, so you're lucky if you get selected. And so I got matched with a mentor within the oil and gas industry. And she sort of opened up her network to me that honestly, I was so blessed that one of my mentors was a lady who runs all the pipelines in the North Sea. So, that's because my mentor opened up her network to introduce me to that lady. So, yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's important that we do reach out to people then, right?
That's right. Okay. And look around your environment at university as well. If I hadn't searched the career portals, if I hadn't engaged with careers, I wouldn't have known that there was a mentorship scheme going on.
Okay, so it's not just about focusing on the actual course itself, but looking at other benefits or other opportunities that you can get from the university that would enhance life after the course.
That's right.
Right. So you need to start thinking about life after the course even before you finish the course.
Yes.
Okay.
Ideally, even before you start the course.
Even before you start the course, right? Because is that what then causes people that by the time they finish, it's almost like, where do I start? Nothing is happening for me. I've finished the course now and there's no jobs out there. There's such a deflating feeling, in people or reports from people. It's like, well, I was told to study. Now I've studied. Now there's nothing happening. So what did they not do?
Start with the end in mind. Where do you want to see yourself when you graduate? How do you want to see yourself excelling when you graduate? And you can work back. Again, I guess I'm putting my project management hat on there, but honestly, that's how I started, and I found it opened many doors because I saw myself in a certain position. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be clear, because when I started university, I was kind of confused about where I was going to end up, but I knew where I wanted to see myself. I knew what I wanted to be doing. And with that, I found mentors. With that, I found a network. With that, I found my course, to go and do my master's, for example. So you can shape things by having a rough idea of the end in mind, and people who come on board your journey help you to perfect that image.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Leslie. You are speaking and you're saying to every single one of us, be proactive.
That's right.
Proactive. Have a wider view, and don't just have a tunnel view, because, I see that all the time. People finishing their course and it's like, okay, they said I should study, I've done it, and now nothing's happening. But you were saying that we all have to be proactive, and it's interesting. It's something that I actually picked up just recently for someone, that I had to call somebody else that's connected to them and said, you need to help this person to have a wider view. The tunnel view is very important because it helps you to focus to get to the end, but then you need to have a wider view so that everything else that's around you, you are at least aware of it, aware of it, so that you can take appropriate actions. And there's something that I came across recently, the statement that someone made about the blind spots. When you're driving, there are blind spots. So even with the blind spots of life, let's just say the blind spots of your course, we need to check what they could be so that those things can be avoided. But you know what? I'm really being empowered by this conversation. I'm actually excited for somebody that will be listening to us. That you have an opportunity not to experience, I won't say the failures, but the frustrations that others might be experiencing now, if you take the right action, now than later.
Yes.
Now later. Okay. There is a very important aspect of writing, which is called plagiarism, which is almost like the biggest crime.
That's right.
Studying, but it's almost like when you get to university that you are now exposed to the seriousness of it. I mean, some schools do speak about it with students, but I don't think they know the seriousness of it until you actually get to university. Do you want to speak about plagiarism and how it can be avoided?
Yes, essentially it's an academic theft, if you like. It's taking other people's work and not acknowledging them for the work. So you're pretty much saying it's your work when someone else has put in the hard work. So plagiarism can be avoided by basically referencing properly. And each academic institution has a particular style, or sometimes they break it down to course modules as well. Each course module could have a different style of referencing. So your first point is to check the style of referencing that they've requested. And then from there, there's so many software that you can use these days. There's EndNote, there's Mendeley. It makes students' lives easier. When I was at university, all these things weren't out there. But now life has been made so easy to reference that there is no excuse, to just use someone's work without sort of referencing it. And I know some students, they do it innocently because they don't actually know how to reference. It's, the onus is on you to learn how to do that. If you don't know how to do it, then there's so many resources online as well to help you to reference. First of all, you need to understand what it is. You need to understand what you're referencing. Is it an image that you're referencing? Is it a piece of work, piece of art? What are you referencing? Because there are different styles of sort of referencing. So I think that the first key point is to know the requested style of referencing that your academic institution or body has requested. And then you can work on from there.
Indeed. Indeed, I don't think I would have thought that different universities have different requirements for that. So one can say, okay, I already know it, and they could be missing it because they haven't done a research, you know. So questions are very important. Finding out things, right, are very important. Okay. How to choose and okay, that's we leave it. Well, that's under the referencing. Um, and now, how to write abstract and executive summaries. Summaries.
Yes. This is, in effect, if you like, your opening statement to your work. It depends on what you're writing, because in the professional setting, you could have executive summaries, whereas if you're writing for a journal article, if you like, you might have an abstract. And most times essays as well have abstracts, but some of them do have executive summaries as well. It's just giving people an introduction into your piece of work. They should be able to read that and know everything that the essay or report contains. And with an executive summary as well, if they want to read more, they should know exactly where to find it from your executive summary. Because some executives, for example, may come at work and they've asked for a report, but then they want to go deeper or deep dive into a particular section. The executive summary should be able to tell them where to go to read further for what they want to use the report for. Abstracts as well, tell them of your research findings, why you're conducting your research, your aims, your objectives, what you gathered. It's almost, again, like whetting the appetites, but you need to tell them, they need to understand everything that is in the main body of the work, just from the abstract or executive summary.
Wow. Okay. Proofreading.
Yes.
Proofreading. Very costly could be as well, especially for those of us who write books. Speak into it first, please.
Yes. So proofreading is really, really important because for me, it highlights, I know my mistakes. I know some of the mistakes that I make. So in proofreading, I know what to look out for because I know the sort of mistakes to have a look at. So if I put it into perspective, in an exam center, you have the time pressure, you have everything, So your mind is thinking about so many different things aside your exam. So if you make a checklist, for example, one of the pointers that I put in the book as well is making a checklist. When you make a checklist before you start, you can proofread alongside your checklist to ensure that everything you set out to do is covered in the work. For exams as well, you need to leave some time afterwards, maybe 10, 15 minutes after, to check and proofread. So you know what you're proofreading. It's almost like you're selectively proofreading because of the time constraints. With your work, you need to also pick, the little things like picking the right time in the day. Sometimes some people are really tired at night, but you've left it so late because you've procrastinated that you want to proofread and you're not actually picking up the key mistakes over there. If you proofread in the afternoon, for example, you might be able to, pick certain things that you might not be able to pick. Some people are nocturnal, so maybe the nighttime is better for them to do it. So you need to find what works for you. But what I would suggest is know your mistakes, know the kind of mistakes that you're likely to make, so that when you're proofreading, you know what to look for. So
there's even an art with that.
yes.
There is an art with that. So if we just understand the dynamics of everything, life would be much easier because you have pointers, you have structures with it.
That's right.
You have, wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Because, I didn't think about it like that when it comes to proofreading. It's like, I have a whole book to proofread. Okay, I have to start from chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, and going on. But when you know your shortfalls, it will be easy for you to be able to identify where you could have gone wrong.
That's
and be able
right.
to check on that. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, Lucian, tell me, why should people get a copy of your book?
Well, you should get the book because it helps you to get ahead. Okay. Why wait to find out that you're not able to write, at the end of your course when you're looking for a career and you get that barrier over there, when you can start ahead with a proven approach that works? I mean, my 10-star students that I worked with last year, they all got a first class. from writing because there's a proven approach. They don't have to do the work from scratch. Mistakes have been made, lessons have been learned, education experts have been involved to eliminate that process for you. So you sort of have a foundation to work on, if you like. So if you'd like to excel at writing, not just in academia, but in the professional setting as well, with a foundation and a proven approach, then by all means get the book because it will help propel you.
You know what I'm hearing while you're saying that? Somebody says, "Do I have to read?" I'm already reading, so you're asking me to read again so that I can then I can then write again. And say, what would you say to people like that? Somebody's thinking, "Why do I have to now read and then be able to do the writing when the writing alone is a bit of a challenge with me?"
I know. It can be quite daunting, especially when you've just started university or, you've come across a challenge while writing. But, reading helps as well with your writing. When you read, there are certain things that you pick up. You're alert in certain aspects. You know what to look for. You know how other people are writing because then you're assessing the way they write. And sometimes it can indirectly influence the way you write as well. It depends on certain things that you read. For example, if I pick up the Financial Times, I learn new things all the time. It's not like I don't know how to write, but there are certain things that I read in there that help me with commercial awareness as well, not just, for the wording that they're using or for the sentences that they are constructing, but it's making me commercially aware and the way they've structured and used certain sentences. My dad was quite keen on this when I was growing up. Every weekend he would buy the Financial Times the weekend version, and he'll give it to me because there's a magazine that comes in there as well. So he's like, if you get to read it, you get the magazine as well. But it was building me. It was building the way, I thought about things. It was building my sentence construction, And then he'll ask me to write letters on his behalf, and he will review them, when the red marks go all over it, you read this. Did you really read this and give this to me? Come on, you can do better than this. But he sort of helped me in the way I write. And reading really, really helps because then you can pick up pointers from other writers as well. And you can criticize some of the things that they've done as well. It still improves you because, it's a good thing. So reading definitely goes hand in hand with writing. If you can't read, how do you expect to write? It goes both ways.
Yes, indeed. And a key word there I could pick from what you just said, your dad.
Yes.
So how would you encourage parents, what would you say to them to really challenge their children or young people in their lives now? They might not be children, but young people. Well, how would you encourage them to impact their lives, in that direction?
I'll say get involved in what they're doing. Try and understand what they're doing because sometimes people bring assignments and their parents are not even interested. But if your parent, just hovered around, what are you doing? Okay, so what are you writing about? Just show a bit of interest, Sometimes it actually motivates them because they know, oh, dad wants to read it afterwards, so this has got to be good, And there's a standard, that's attached to it because your parent is reading it because they have certain expectations. So just show some interest and, engage with them. If they're having difficulties, just ask, what are you having difficulties with? Even if you can't help them, be part of the journey to help them find a solution to it. Like sometimes for my dad, when he didn't understand what I was doing, he went to do research about it. And he said, these are some pointers. Look, I'm not, a subject matter expert in this aspect, but these are some pointers that I've found and you can research here and get some better information. And if you need outside help, we can have a look at this for you. And sometimes there were free resources in terms of outside help that you don't even know about. But because my dad was able to do this research to say you can improve yourself by doing this, I found those free resources without extra charges. So I think once you're involved and they can see that you're really interested in what they're doing and you're willing to, be that listening ear when they're stuck with something, it goes a long way because they will always come to you when there are challenges.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Lesian, for that. There are two areas that stands out for me with that. with what you just shared. And actually, the first point I was going to ask you about, and then you mentioned about your dad, because sometimes people are not aware that they have certain disabilities when it comes to learning. You know, the typical African way, you just have to get it, you know. But then when you're not under such a tutelage, it gets to a point when the weakness now becomes evident. And so if somebody, you know, is struggling in a way where sometimes even assessments then, you know, diagnosis, yeah, there is actually a condition or there is actually a shortcoming, what would you say to people who might really be wanting to do all of this, but they realize that there is a struggle, but they have not been able, not like you want to find an excuse, do you understand? But there is something there. What would you say to those students?
I would say you can always get support
Mm,
because some people struggle with conditions like dyslexia, and they're still doing great things out there. You can get the support. Is about communicating what you're going through. Some people are silent about it because they're embarrassed about it or they're ashamed about it. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. You can get help. Sometimes if it becomes challenging, again, you can sort outside help for people to help you. If you voice it out at exam centers, for example, people with such conditions are given extra time. But if you don't voice it out, once exam is done, everyone just leaves, and that it took you maybe twice as long to try and break down the question when someone has moved on a long time ago. So I think you need to communicate this so that people understand what you're going through. I watched a movie where there was this man who was trying to read to the little girl, and he couldn't read. He was looking at the book. He's like, give me a few moments. I'll read. Just wait. And he couldn't. So the little girl just went, you can't read, can you? He's like, a grown man like me. Of course I can read. And he's like, you know what? To be honest, I do have dyslexia. That's why I can't read to you. And she understood, even such a young child, she understood. She's like, okay, I'll do the reading. That's okay. You sit down, I'll do the reading, but it's communicating, without being embarrassed so that people can help you, so that people can support you. And some people have actually overcome certain conditions because of the support that they got. And they're able to read, a novel completely, So I think it starts with communication and looking for help.
mm. Thank you. And at the back end of that as well, there are parents as well who, like you just mentioned about the dad and the little girl. So it's not like some parents don't want to help their children or want to help their young people. Either they were not so privileged, you know, to have access to that level of education, or they actually do have, you know, a condition or a disability, a learning disability that one might not know, or two, they might not want to expose that to their children. So
Yes.
I personally believe sometimes you hear parents go, "Come sit down. What are you showing me this for?" It's instead of saying, I can't help you, but let me find someone that would, you know." So how can a parent who might be, you know, struggling or might not have had the privilege to really, you know, be exposed to the level of education that their children are, you know, but they keep pushing the children, which is a good thing. You know, it's a good thing, not a
It
bad thing.
is.
But how can you know, what can you say to those parents so that they're not, you know, they can overcome their fears, maybe what you might call embarrassment, but still be empowered to help their children?
I think be open to your children, be honest with your children. Sometimes you might not want to give them all the details, but you can just say, maybe daddy or mommy can't help you with this, but that doesn't mean you can't come to me with it. I'm always here to support you because I'm your parent. If I can't give you that help directly, I will find someone else who will. That alone, that motivational speech alone helps them to come to you. But if you keep pushing them away, then they're going to go to someone else with it. And that person might not be able to help them or might not be helping them in the right way, or they might be demanding other things to help them. So as a parent, just be open with them and just say to them, you know what, you can always use me as a sounding board. You can always come to me. Even if I can't help you, we will find a way. I think that kind of approach always works.
Definitely, definitely, and I'm glad we've covered this, because I do believe that parents do want to help. Some parents, I've ever seen, I'm not disqualifying anyone, do want to help their children, but there's. I mean, it was interesting during the lockdown period. I saw some really very interesting videos. You have some parents who will say, the teacher doesn't know more than me, and then I saw a particular video. The woman, the lady was saying, "We're so sorry, teachers. We lie to our children. We don't know anything." And all of a sudden, they will not appreciate it. Come and take the children and go and teach them. I don't know, my God, things are coming out, But yeah. So just this pointer that we raised is very important, because I think it also reflects on how some teachers respond to parents.
Yes.
A lot of times I find the way I respond or handle situations with my children's teachers, they're quite surprised, because I'm thinking to myself, oh, you probably just put our parents in a box, right? They don't know anything. They will behave in this particular way. So it doesn't, and I think they get quite surprised. There was a situation with one of them that they had made something conclusion on something, and I went to the meeting, and it wasn't that I was even defending. It was just something that had not been paid attention to. And I remember this woman said, oh my God, oh, your parents actually she's actually equipped to help you. And I thought to myself, oh, okay, so what did you conclude when you made the decision without finding out what the capacity of the parent? So even parents now who are faced with challenges at school, I do find some teachers speaking to parents like they are the students.
Yes.
What would you say to those parents?
I was funny enough you say that. I was actually at a summit for private schools to help them bounce back during the pandemic. And one point that I made was to be able to engage with the parents, because they are one of your key stakeholders. To be able to involve them, to, even if it's a text message, sometimes parents get overwhelmed with emails. Even if it's a text message to say, reminder about this, or during the pandemic, how are you doing with the children? How are things going? So I think teachers could engage parents more often than they usually do. Because like you said, sometimes the parents have certain expertise that they didn't know they could actually help the children with. But when you engage with those parents and you have that personal relationship, you're able to know what goes on at home as well, if they want to share it, and how you can help them. Just little nuggets, little suggestions, every week during the pandemic was well appreciated by parents. And so I'd say just keep them in mind, because you have to remember that they are your key stakeholder. If they decided to pull their child out of your school, that's it. If each parent decided to pull their child out of your school, there will be no school. So you have to bear this in mind and help them as well. Sometimes they're too busy that, there's certain things that they should spot that they don't spot. But when you help them, you work together collaboratively, to help the children. So that's one advice that I will give.
Thank you indeed. If every parent was to take their children out of the school, there will be no school for the teachers to teach. Yeah, so it is a collaborated effort, and we should work together in partnership. Now, just one more thing. Sometimes the children think that my mom would always back the parents. I mean, someone always back the teachers. It's like the teachers are never wrong. When it's not really the case. It's not really the case. So what would you say to students who find themselves in such a situation? It's almost like, it's not a teacher can ever do wrong. But I'm trying to explain what's happening. What would you say to bring balance to such, situations for parents, being able to listen? Can they listen to the students, their children, and still listen to the teachers and make a sound judgment, so that the teachers don't feel, that you're taking the side of your children, and the children don't feel that you're taking the side of the teachers?
I think the key thing you mentioned there is listening. You need to give each person the opportunity to be heard. Sometimes you find parents just listen to the teacher and they don't listen to anything the child has said. And sometimes they listen to their child and, let's go to school, let's deal with it, But you need to, listen to both sides of the story. That's the only way you're going to be able to make a sound judgment, if you like. And when you do that, they both feel comfortable to come to you with issues. If you always, saying no to your child or saying the teacher is always right, when there's actually a pressing issue, e.g., they're being bullied at school, by a teacher, they can't tell you because you're going to take the teacher's side when the teacher is at fault. And sometimes, the teacher is trying to tell you something about your child and you're saying, well, are you trying to say I'm a bad parent? Sometimes they're just trying to help you and they're saying this child needs help here. They've noticed things because they spend more time with the children during the day than you would sometimes. So I think the key thing there is to give a listening ear to both sides. And sometimes you can bring them together as well to discuss the solution or the way forward as well.
Okay. How do you deal with a matter that you hear and the teacher is not, it's not that the child is not at fault. There's a challenge with the teacher. You want to address it. And then the child says, no, don't go.
You have to address it. If you don't, it's going to emotionally and psychologically impact the child negatively. So you have to address it, but you have to say to the child, you have to explain to the child why you're doing that so that the child understands. So the next time they won't keep it to themselves and because they say, mommy's going to deal with it and I don't like the way she dealt with it. But have a conversation with them and explain why you're doing it. And then take the step further. Sometimes if they don't want you to go directly to the teacher, then you can go a step higher. Maybe go to their supervisor or whoever it is, because they will know how to deal with it, behind closed doors, if you like, because they have meetings, as teachers and tutors. So I'd say explain to the child why you have to do that, and then you have to address it. There's no way you can leave that.
I was in a session the other day and one of the children said, but auntie, what if you tell your parents and they just go to the school and start shouting and then they embarrass you?
Yes, the approach matters too, The approach matters too. Because I remember.
Go ahead.
I was there as a child. We're like, Mom, no. Talk to her in this way, not that way, So it's the approach matters. And sometimes in the discussion with the child, you're like, okay, if you don't want mommy to do this, this is how mommy is going to do that. How does that sound? You're engaging the child, to explain to them why you're doing it, but say, okay, I understand, this doesn't work for you and you're embarrassed by it. And mommy's not going to embarrass you or daddy's not going to embarrass you. So let's find a better approach to this. And so you find the solution together. Okay. You're also teaching them to become a parent in that way. You're sowing a seed.
There's a long-term effect with that.
Yeah.
Leslie Ann, thank you so much. I'm going to send this out to all the parents on my list on my phone to ensure that you listen to this. This has been so useful, not just for parents. If you're a student, you're a university student. These days, university students are not just young people. You have adults, that are going back into education. So there's a lot that you can learn from this conversation. Grab a copy of Leslie's book. If you need some, further assistance, she's available for consultation. She has sessions that she says that she runs. You can find them on Eventbrite. Connect with her on Instagram. Connect with her on any social media, on LinkedIn. Connect with her on Facebook. Let's get the right help and understand that writing is not just about just handing an assignment to your tutor or your lecturer or your professor. You are telling them about your understanding. You're showing them, everything that, you can communicate well. You're positioning yourself for the future. Thank you so much, Leslie, and I really appreciate this time with us on Praise Talk Show. And we're looking forward to other conversations by God's grace. All the very best with the audiobook as well.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. If you have really been empowered by today's conversation, education is so powerful. God is the first educator. He was the first one, the man of God says, the first one to write on a tablet. It's not the iPad that did the tablet. God was the first one to write on a tablet, and it was downloaded from his cloud. Praise God. So what am I saying? We need to empower ourselves wherever we are. We need to have an understanding. So please share this video, share this conversation, and help someone someone. Until I'm back your way next week, stay blessed, stay on top. We will be looking at a very, very spiritual topic next week on the gift of healing. So maybe you're experiencing something that's been challenging in your health. Let's have a conversation with this man of God that will be coming. I love you. Till then, bye for now.